Good day, everybody. How are you guys doing? This is Johnny Liotis, the owner and founder of the IE International Group of Companies. And one of our companies in our group is IECCA, IE Chartered Certified Accountants, where we do people's books and finances. And what I've been seeing over the last few months in doing people's financials, and also Johnny Liotis Center, where we coach and we mentor people through these challenging times. And what I believe is happening is there is a business reset busy happening, or it's on its way. There is a business reset busy happening. And let me tell you why I believe that. So we look at a business. Now we can use different examples. I've used a restaurant as an example because they've been impacted a lot with the tourism, being impacted through COVID. But a lot of businesses have been impacted, and depending on how they've been impacted and depending on time. So the one thing I want to see to you, what do I mean about this business reset that is happening? Okay, so the first thing is we've got to look at time. Okay, we've got to look at time, and we also got to look at the debt equity ratio. So what happens is and I'm going to explain this in simple terms. So let's just say in 2020, just before COVID happened, someone went into a business. Okay, they went and they bought a new business for, let's say, 7 million rand, right? They go in and they buy a business for 7 million rand. Now, if you go and look, let's say this was on the 1st of March 2020, right? And that's the time, and they bought a business for, let's just say, 6 million. Now, depending on how they financed that business, did they finance that business through equity or did they finance through debt? What do I mean by that? Did they take their own money to buy that business? So they had reserves, they had a savings, they had their own money, they bought it, or they raised money through shareholding, so that's equity, or did they borrow the money? And if they borrowed the money, let's say they had to pay that over 5 years at an interest rate of 9 to 10%, let's just say 10%, right? So now, here is a business. Now, these are high-risk businesses due to what's happening in the world, okay? So, because then afterwards COVID happened, all of a sudden, what are the two biggest expenses in a business? The two biggest expenses. People will say it's purchases, cost of sales. No, those are variable expenses. Those are variable expenses. Your two biggest expenses, usually in business, is rent and salaries and wages. Okay? That's usually your two biggest expenses in a business, also depending on what business, but usually those are the two driving expenses. Now, once you took occupation, you're a restaurant, you're a hotel, whatever the business is, could you handle your rent? Now, if you own the building, you're in a stronger position, right? If you didn't own the building, you are in a weaker position. So what happens is now there are two types of people. The people that had money, so if this guy went and borrowed the money and he didn't have the money to carry him. So where are we right now? Today, we are in the 30th of, let's just say, September 2021. Okay, so more than a year and a half has gone by. Now, what's happened in this year and a half? What has happened? So the banks did give a holiday period that the people didn't have to pay. But what happened with that holiday period didn't say that interest would stop. Just means that the payment would stop. But interest was still happening. Interest was still happening on this loan. Now, when interest was levied on a loan, but there was no income because there was a period in here where the turnover was zero. Okay? But the expenses of rent and salaries and wages and interest on the loan kept running. So therefore, what I have found is many companies made massive losses in 2021. So what is 2021 financial statements? That is from March 2020 to 2021, and from I think April this year to now, it's a bit of a recovery that's busy happening, okay? But all these losses, now the one thing I was saying to my article clerk the other day, I was saying, if there's a loss has to be financed somehow. So who financed this loss? Who financed this loss? So now you need to say, so how do you finance your loss? Your debt equity ratio. Did they borrow more money? Did they borrow more money? So by the time you come here, now all of a sudden, your rent's been running, your salaries and wages, we did get a bit of a holiday period on salaries and wages for a few months because the government was bailing out the salaries and wages, but expenses were happening. And what I found is sometimes the salaries, people were getting a 20, 30,000 rand salary, or the owners of the business, and they had bonds that they had to pay for their own houses. Now, yes, the bank gave a holiday of 3 months, but afterwards they started having to paying it. So the money that they were getting from the government wasn't enough to pay for their household goods. Did you know that I do not know of a school or of a university that gave an exemption during this period? I do not know of them. So that means school fees had to be paid. The money that government was giving was not enough to pay those expenses that they're always paying. So what happened is they had to still draw money out of their business. And this 6 million now comes up to 8 million. Okay? And now their payment has to go, their payment to the bank has to go more, there's more interest rates, and some of these guys went up more. Now, if you are a year later, and or a year and a half later, and you went from 6 million to 8 million, and you are more and more in debt, the question that I'm always looking at is, what does it cost to buy that business new? So no one was at risk. As long as the business value to replace that business, to buy a new business, was 6 million, and you were owing less than that. Example, should a franchise, should there be a McDonald's, a Spur, an Ocean Basket, for example, in your town, and that guy gets into so much debt that he cannot pay his bills, he cannot pay the interest is too much, he files for bankruptcy. Do you really think that in a few months there will not be a new McDonald's, a new Ocean Basket, a new Spur, a new whatever? People are going to reinvest. Now, why? Because there are people that are looking for what is their next business move. Now, they are going to get into the business maybe at 6.5 million, 7 million, and it's going to be a new revamped store, new technology. This guy, maybe his store had not been revamped. He still doesn't have the newest stuff. Now a guy comes in at 8 million and he has got the latest stuff in his store. It's the new look of the McDonald's. It's the new look of the KFC. It's the new look of the Ocean Basket. It's new look for whatever business it is. It's new machinery, engineering companies. It's new machinery. So what happens is this guy is ahead. Now, the other guy, if he wants to buy, if he's here and he's saying, I'm still hanging on, but I need to revamp, I need to buy new machinery, I need to compete, now I need to invest more money into my business, now I need another 3 or 4 million rand. And what happens is their business is not worthwhile anymore. So why do I say there's a business reset coming? Because when you are running a business, and you owe more than it's worth, you're technically insolvent, right? So then you've got to make the call. How many years are you going to carry on working? So let's just say there's some people that owed no money. They had to take out a loan to come in. So I know one guy, he paid off all his business and he had to borrow 1.5 million during this year to stay afloat, that he's going to pay off over 5 years. Now he's in for 1.5 million. Does he have the money? Can he pay the interest rates? Or another guy that is going to come into the market, business reset. New business owners are going to come in with fresh money, new looks, new feel, new technology, new ideas. And the guys that had businesses that are so much exposed to their debt and equity ratio, they've got so much debt, they can't compete. And so what happens is you're going to have many businesses. The statistics saying that about 50% of businesses will close down. And as soon as businesses close down, close down, there's opportunity for new business owners. That's called the business reset. And this is why this is so important. We always speak of return on investment on business. We always speak about return on investment in business. And the return on investment is always how you buy, how you get into that business. How did you get into that business? And if you get in at a good price, if you don't overcapitalize, if you get in at a good price, and good price means there must be good opportunities. Good opportunities, people that are failing in business, you're going to go and take those opportunities up because there are going to be people that are going to invest in. So people say, how do I know if I'm having a good investment? Listen, I spoke up a few days ago about the income statement. There's income, there's expenses. I spoke about that. But what's happening is it doesn't really matter what the cash flow is if you don't look at what the investment is. If I say to you, I'm making R1 million a month, you say, yeah, that's a lot of money. But if I owe 200 million rand to make R1 million, then it's nothing. Okay? Because especially in the South African market, we're looking at 18 months return on investment. Some people might go to 36 months, but usually they're looking at 18 to 24 months to return on investment. So if you are making R1 million, but you owe 200 or whatever, it's irrelevant. But if you're making R1 million and you got into the deal at 18 million, that means I got 18 months and my business is paid off. If I'm making R1 million and I went into 200, now I got 200 months to get into bed. So the strength of a return on investment, it's how much you bought the business for. How much did the business cost you? And if you get in at the right price, that will determine if your business is going to be successful. And that is why I believe there's a business reset coming. There are going to be so much new business owners that are going to come in with new money, new loans, that are going to have a new look, new technology, new innovation. And the guys that were exposed, who had too much debt to their equity, I don't think they're going to make it, and they're going to have to file for bankruptcy. And people put this bad connotation when you liquidate your business. No, it's a business decision. If you see yourself, you can't get out of this debt, because what is the biggest cost in business? This is accounting, rent, etc. But the biggest cost in business is energy. So if I'm going to put my energy into a business for the next 10 years, and I'm not even going to get out of debt, and I'm not even going to have money for my family, and that's a bad business, because the biggest expense in a business for an individual is your energy. What energy are you putting in that business? What are you going to get out? And if you can't see the future, don't tell me about I call them wishful business. Don't worry, I'm going to get out of this. No, you can't tell me you're going to get out. Show me how. Show me the numbers. Where is the sale going to come from? Where? If it's not, then liquidate. Close it down. Because why must you put more energy into this thing if there's no future in this thing? Why keep it? I've got clients that are making losses for the last 30 months, and somehow they believe things are going to change. But what they don't realize, for the last 30 months, they've accumulated losses. Their debt to equity ratio is so high. How are they ever going to exit? If they had liquidated that business 12 months earlier, 18 months earlier, they would have been a winner now. They would have made, because every single month they're financing, they're borrowing, they're putting money into this thing. Every single month they're exhausted, their energy, they can't pay their debt. part of a good businessman. Yes, you never give up. You be relentless. You must be patient. You must be persistent. But you must understand your numbers. You must understand this is working or this is not working. You must have a plan. You must have a strategy. And there must be a way that you can see yourself out of this. It might not be perfect. It might not be, but you must see yourself out of this. And if you can't, cut the cord, do the right thing, get into the next business, because there's a business reset busy happening and you might just take advantage of the new businesses. Thank you very much, guys. This is John Iliadis, the owner and founder of the IE International Group of Companies. Have a great day. Cheers. Bye.